mystery
in our history.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Mystery in Our History podcast, where we take an in-depth look at all things urban legend and conspiracy theory related and how they came to be. I'm J.R. Supa, that's Chris Berry, and we have another conspiracy pasta for you this week.
You guys ready?
I hope so.
Because there's a lot of pasta. I don't know how much of it's going to stick.
Well, the first pasta that we have is technically not a pasta. It's actual declassified government secrets.
Now that's interesting.
Really, they're either like super eerie, super terrifying, or super messed up, or just hilarious. So we're going to go through those. I'll read them off, and then I'll let Chris make this sound over and over again.
I hate that you have that on there.
Huh?
Oh, fun. This is going to be fun, everyone.
It's going to be great. Yep.
The
more I get used to the new studio, the more toys I have.
So fun. You just have the dumbest sound clips of me going, ugh.
My favorite is personally.
Huh?
It reminds me of the sound clips they use of like the guy bathing in the trough, the like 600-pound guy who's just like, ugh, grah. Just like
My 600-pound life.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Anyway, that's such a messed up show.
Yeah.
All right. Declassified government secrets. Number 1. The Nixon administration had a speech prepared for if the moon landing had failed.
That's juicy.
Yes, and I have it here, so I'm going to read it to you. It's only like a page and a half. It's to H.R. Haldeman from Bill Sapphire, July 18, 1969. In event of moon disaster, fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. These brave men, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, know that there is no hope for their recovery, but they also know there is hope for mankind in their sacrifice. These two men are laying down their lives in mankind's most noble goal, the search for truth and understanding. They will be mourned by their family and friends. They will be mourned by their nation. They will be mourned by the people of the world. They will be mourned by Mother Earth that dared send 2 of her sons into the unknown. In their exploration, they stirred the people of the world to feel as one. In their sacrifice, they bind more tightly the brotherhood of man. In ancient days, men looked at stars and saw their heroes in the constellations. In modern times, we do much the same, but our heroes are epic men of flesh and blood. Others will follow and surely find their way home. Man's search will not be denied, but these men were the first, and they will remain the foremost in our hearts. For every human being who looks up at the moon in the nights to come will know that there is some corner of another world that is forever mankind. And then it goes on to say, prior to the president's statement, the president should telephone each of the widows to be. After the president's statement, at the point when NASA ends communications with the men, a clergyman should adopt the same procedure as a burial at sea, commending their souls to the deepest of the deep, concluding with the Lord's Prayer. End of memo.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Jeez. I guess you never really think about that as just like,
You
like
have to have a backup.
Yeah, right. Because like, what if something didn't go smoothly? Like, you need to let everyone know. Like,
It's like, I hate equating it to this because I think it shouldn't be, but it's the best analogy I have. I think of it as like the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have T-shirts made Super Bowl champion for both teams.
Yeah.
Either team can win, but then all those T-shirts Like, you have to have a contingency plan. All those T-shirts, I think, get donated to like third world countries at the end of the day. They get sent
Yeah, I'm
off
almost positive that's
to
the
like,
case.
yeah,
Yeah.
either Africa or the Caribbean or South America or wherever. But it's just so like nobody really stops to think about it. That like you have to prepare for both scenarios, and that speech is like, could you imagine like how different would the world be today if that was the speech that was given?
Right. If we had audio of that just kind of like lingering around, it's just the mood that would be set after a speech like that, just defeat and sadness, really.
Well, because don't forget, like if something went wrong and they just couldn't get home, as opposed to a disaster with the shuttle itself, right? This is in the event that they landed on the moon and couldn't get back. So there's still contact with them, which means they're going to have final words to relay to their families. Depressing.
Yeah, that's very depressing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
All right, well, let's get off depressing. Let's get off depressing, Chris.
That leaves a bad taste.
Yes.
Yeah, let's.
I want to talk to you about Operation Midnight Climax.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Which I know it sounds like an airport novel.
Yeah,
I mean, it's sexy spy novella. Like an X-rated 007 book.
Just like a romantica novel that a lonely wife would read during the day.
Mm-hmm. But Operation Midnight Climax was an operation initially established in 1954 by Sidney Gottlieb and placed under the direction of the Federal Narcotics Bureau in Boston, Massachusetts, with the officer George Hunter White under the pseudonym of Morgan Hall for the CIA as a sub-project of Project MKUltra, the CIA mind control research program that began in the 50s. The project started in 54 and consisted of a web of CIA-run safe houses in San Francisco, Marin County, California, and New York City. It was established in order to study the effects of LSD on unconsenting individuals. Prostitutes on the CIA payroll were instructed to lure clients back to the safe houses, where they were surreptitiously plied with a wide range of substances, including LSD, and monitored behind one-way glass.
No kidding.
Yep. Every one of these acts was blatantly illegal, if you had not come to that conclusion already.
It's common sense to tell you
several significant operational techniques were developed in this theater, including extensive research into sexual blackmail, surveillance technology, and the possible use of mind-altering drugs in field ops.
Damn.
Yes.
Damn. That's, I mean, I know they've done very sketchy things like this before in the past, too. Drugging people.
By the way, it gets better.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, it gets... So, Operation Midnight Climax was expanded.
Oh.
After the initial results of all this illegal shit that they were doing.
Oh.
Because I think a lot of people... I think a lot of... maybe not a lot of people, but I think some people know about Midnight Climax. They might not have known that was the name, where prostitutes were drugging people with LSD.
Yeah.
It was expanded, and the CIA operatives began dosing people in restaurants, bars, and beaches. The safe houses were dramatically scaled back in 1963 following a report by CIA Inspector General John Ehrman, I don't know, which strongly recommended closing the facility. San Francisco safe houses were closed in 65. New York safe houses were closed in 66.
Damn.
Yeah. Dude, could you imagine just being in a restaurant and being like, "Oh, here's your salmon, sir. By the way, have some LSD."
Yeah, and you just, dude. Here's the thing: it's like, back in the day, definitely not anymore. When I would take some sort of psychedelic, I would make sure that I was in a safe, good environment. I was in a good mood, a good place mentally. To take a psychedelic like that,
You always have to have a safety safe. A safety safe. Gotta have it.
Yes.
Gotta have a safety safe.
I couldn't imagine being out during a work day or whatever, or just like having a bad day out there and then suddenly
Oh
getting
my
drugged.
God. Could you imagine, dude? You had the shittiest day. You're out with your girlfriend at a restaurant. You're like, this is the night. Like, I just need to unwind. Ugh, such a shitty day. Right. And you're just like
Yep.
unloading all your problems. You're venting. And then all of a sudden you are literally high on LSD.
Yep. Yeah, it kicks in and you are just tripping balls in the middle of a restaurant after just having the shittiest day. No way, dude. No way. That would be terrible.
That's ugh.
And then somebody's just watching you too the entire time.
Oh my God, yes. They're recording the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're studying you like a lab rat.
So it just goes forever. It exists forever.
Oh, that's the worst.
Awful.
All right, next declassified government secret. When the Space Shuttle Challenger was destroyed, it was reported that all 7 astronauts were killed instantly. It was revealed decades later that some, if not all, of the astronauts survived the initial explosion as the cockpit cabin had enough protection not to be breached. For 2 minutes and 45 seconds, they were awake and aware as they plummeted towards the Atlantic Ocean. Understandably, NASA knew the news of their terrifying death would have crippled the space program even more than it already was, which is why they made that shit up.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't there recordings of them talking to these guys while they're like going down?
Probably.
Yeah. I thought I saw
I'm
something
sure
about
there are. If this came out and it was declassified, then I'm sure that the actual tapes were declassified as well.
Yeah, I believe because they're talking to men that they know are going to die in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And it's grim. It's grim. This was also the crash where like the limbs of the bodies kept washing ashore, right?
Yes.
Like they tried to recover as much as they could, but they obviously couldn't get it all. So like over time, limbs would keep washing up. Yeah.
So
that was terrible.
I have some show and tell for you, Chris.
Okay.
This is my Superman Funko Pop.
Okay.
I mildly collect these, not like heavily, but I do love certain ones. I love.
Yeah.
But could you imagine? We'll just leave him right here for now. Could you imagine one of these that look like Osama bin Laden?
Could I imagine it? I mean, I don't want to, but yes, I could imagine it.
Well, it's not so far-fetched, is my point. Okay.
That's horrible.
The plan, Devil Eyes, after 9/11, was to make toy figurines that look like Osama bin Laden and give them to kids in South Asia. After it's left in the sun for a certain amount of time, the face would peel off to reveal a demon-like visage with red skin, green eyes, and black markings. Basically, a demon. The objective was to scare kids and their parents so bin Laden and Al-Qaeda would lose support. It was an actual plan.
That's so
legit
stupid.
Government program.
That's stupid. Here, I got a more effective, cheaper government program than that, right? Here it goes. I'm a government guy. Tell your kids Osama's a dick. Done.
How about here's $1,000 US?
Yeah.
Osama sucks, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Hell, $1,000, just $10 each. Probably cost less to produce those damn things.
It's so stupid.
Tell your kids he sucks.
Isn't that awful?
Boom.
That's awful.
God, his face would melt to reveal a demon.
The skin would melt and the face would peel off.
Ridiculous, dude.
All right, next one.
All right.
In 1984, a psychic remote viewed the planet Mars for the CIA. In his remote view, he asked He's asked to travel backwards to several points in time in Mars' history and several points of interests using coordinates. The psychic ends up describing things like some sort of planetary catastrophe, strange structures, including pyramids, and the strange inhabitants on the red planet. Whether you believe in aliens or conspiracy theories or not, it's definitely weird that an official branch of the government has run experiments like this.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a whole conspiracy in itself, man. I don't know if you've ever seen that Mars used to be a living world.
I've heard of the conspiracy, and that is something that we're going to tackle.
Yeah, yeah. Basically,
Because
like
that's something that I'm interested in doing a whole episode
because
on.
apparently it has like the structure on it that like used to hold water and used to have an atmosphere, and now it's just a dead planet.
Mm-hmm.
So that wouldn't shock me. And I think I mentioned before too that Mars has pyramids that line up with ours.
Yes, I think we talked about that in our aliens or one of our episodes.
Yeah.
Or you might have just mentioned it to me in passing, and this is the first time we're talking about it on air.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but man, pyramids are just one of those things. It's crazy because it's one of those things that they're all over the world, different places of the world. Some of them line up like the Great Pyramid, and some of them they have the same shape and build, but they're just at different parts of the world. Like some pyramids are God, how to explain it? Best way I can explain it is they just look like a giant set of stairs instead of like a smooth pyramid.
Yeah, like the Mayans.
Yes, exactly. But they have those replicated around the world, almost built exactly the same. But these civilizations didn't talk to each other.
Yeah, I think we covered
as far as we know.
I think we covered that one in Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, yeah, briefly.
Aliens.
Yeah,
we talked about there were two South American cultures that had like no way of being able to be in communication with each other, and ended up like building the same shit.
Yeah,
essentially.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah,
they were definitely talking. We just don't know how.
Yep,
they had to have been.
All right, this next one is quite possibly my favorite. Because the Central Intelligence Agency, operative word obviously being intelligence, invested millions of United States dollars trying to make cats spies.
Cat?
Cats, as in
meow?
Meow. Right, meow.
And hold on. You said, what are they called? The Central
Intelligence Agency.
I thought that stood for Clowns in America after this.
No. It's still the CIA.
Cat spies.
Yeah. Cat spies. Cat Intelligence Agency. Yes. It is, the project name was Acoustic Kitty.
Acoustic Kitty.
Acoustic Kitty, which, by the way, phenomenal ska band name.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah,
or like punk,
I would go with that.
Hard punk, Acoustic Kitty.
No, not punk.
Ska.
Acoustic Kitty is ska.
Yeah,
you could do ska or folk.
Oh yeah, acoustic. Yep. Okay. So yes, Acoustic Kitty was a CIA project launched in the 60s and intended to use cats to spy on the Kremlin and Soviet embassies. In an hour-long procedure, a veterinary surgeon implanted a microphone in the cat's ear canal, a small radio transmitter at the base of its skull, and a thin wire into its fur.
That seems really cruel.
Yeah. This would allow the cat to innocuously record and transmit sounds from its surroundings. Due to problems with distraction, the cat's sense of hunger had to be addressed in other operations.
Wait, cats weren't reliable?
Yeah, go figure, right? Victor Marchetti, a former CIA officer, said that Project Acoustic Kitty cost about, you want to take any guesses?
Oh, God. Let's say 64 million.
No. Less.
Okay.
Less.
24 million.
Less.
Okay. 5.
Much more.
Okay, I give up.
$20 million.
20 million? Okay, so I
20
wasn't too far
million
with 24.
US dollars.
Oh, that's a lot though.
Yep.
And wait, when was this?
The 60s. So right in the middle of Cold
so
War.
that was real money.
Oh yeah, it was real. Yeah, it was post World War II money. The first acoustic kitty mission was to eavesdrop on 2 men in a park outside the Soviet compound on Wisconsin Avenue in Washington D.C. So it's the cat was. Sorry, I didn't read this one. I didn't read this far. Oh, this is
What happened to the cat?
The cat was released nearby, but was hit and allegedly killed by a taxi almost immediately.
Oh man! Come on. Oh, dude, that's terrible.
Dude, that's like the equivalent of shooting down a plane.
Yeah, right. Jesus Christ, dude.
Oh my God. In like the Second World War. Like that's the equivalent of shooting down a plane. Oh, that's so funny. So funny.
That's ridiculous,
The
dude.
best part, hold on. When did this start? It just says the 60s because the project was canceled in 1967.
67.
Oh, yeah, it's sweet Jesus, that's amazing. All right, let's talk about Operation Northwoods. A plan for a false flag operation that came from the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Department of Defense in 1962. This was given to JFK, who turned it down. Thank God. Because the plan called for the CIA to commit terrorist actions against United States civilians across the United States and frame Cuba, allowing us the right to invade and depose Castro and the communist government there. It was declassified and can be found online at the JFK Library. In other words, our government, the United States government, wanted to kill Americans and just blame it on Cuba.
Oh, dude, I don't even consider the CIA to be American anymore. Like, with the stuff that they've done through the history, I would say they're their own shadow operative at this point because they definitely don't act with any oversight to the government anymore.
No.
Like, they don't answer to anyone. They answer to themselves, and they do what they want. And
there's a lot of, there's a lot of shit that they've done, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but like the CIA's done awful shit, like the Tuskegee Airmen and giving people syphilis, or sickle cell or whatever they gave them.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just they're a shitty organization.
Yeah, and I do believe 2 days before JFK was assassinated, that he vowed to break up the CIA into millions of splinters or something like that into the wind.
How convenient.
And then he ended up dead somehow.
How
I don't know
convenient.
how. One guy did it.
Yeah, it was a magic bullet.
Yeah, one guy did it.
Don't worry, that episode's coming.
All right.
Let's talk. I think we talked about this once before. The Gateway Project. Army intelligence's look into the feasibility of remote viewing and astral projection for military use, and obviously whether it's even exists. Now, take it with however much salt you want, but clearly the group tasked with the report thought it was credible, and the Army apparently did train a Gateway task force for intelligence.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So this was just remote viewing again?
Yes. No, this was like Stargate SG-1.
Oh, okay.
Like
yeah,
Gateway.
I definitely talked about that before.
Like Gateway. And I have a memo that was sent, but it is extremely long. I don't even know how many pages it is, so I'm gonna provide a link to it. It's actually a link from the CIA website because it's declassified. You get to see it. It's not like redacted or anything. But the subject is analysis and assessment of Gateway process.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep. Huh. From the CIA to the commander of the United States Army.
Yeah, like I said, I've heard rumor and conspiracy of there being a Stargate existing in the Middle East, which is why we're always over there because we want it for ourselves. But again, I don't have
Yeah.
I don't have much evidence on that either. So
I'd like to dive into that a little more too one day.
yeah, that'd be a fun one.
All right, let's talk about the CIA's family jewels and not their balls.
Why not?
Because these family jewels are a collection of all the fucked up shit that the CIA did during the Cold War. Highlights include sexually assaulting prisoners to make them more likely to fail a lie detector test, and the various wiretaps and standing orders to read all mail to and from Russia. The link document itself has an actual table of contents. The link is in the bio. You guys can peruse whatever subject strikes your fancy. But we'll be here for like 3 hours. This will be a Joe Rogan podcast if we were to do that whole thing.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I think we should just talk about their balls for a second.
Okay. I mean, they got pretty. I disagree. I think they have pretty big balls to do all the shit that they've done.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, they got big balls to do it.
Big balls, teeny pee.
Yeah. Well, if they ever get caught, man. God, who was it? There is a quote, I believe, from George H.W. Bush.
That's the first
something
one.
Along the line. The first one.
Okay.
Something along the line of, Barbara, if the American people knew what we've done, we would be hanging from lampposts or something like that.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty serious. And then there's
Cold
another
War was
one.
no joke, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's another one. I forget who says it, but there's another politician talking about doing shady shit and being hung by the people if ever found out. It's just like, then stop.
Yeah, stop doing shady shit.
Just stop. Then
it's crazy.
It's very crazy.
Let's talk about Operation Mockingbird. Okay. Operation Mockingbird is an alleged large-scale program of the United States Central Intelligence Agency that began as early as the 1950s and attempted to manipulate news media for propaganda purposes. It funded student and cultural organizations and magazines as front organizations. According to writer Deborah Davis, Operation Mockingbird recruited leading American journalists into a propaganda network and oversaw the operations of front groups. CIA support of front groups was exposed after 1967. Ramparts magazine article reported that the National Student Association received funding from the CIA. In the 70s, congressional investigations and reports also revealed agency connections with journalists and civic groups. None of these reports, however, mentions by name an Operation Mockingbird according to supporting these activities, or coordinating or supporting these activities. It is, however, mentioned in the Family Jewels report compiled in the mid-1970s. Yes. Evidently, Project Mockingbird also involved a wiretapping of 2 American journalists for several months in the 60s. So, First Amendment, we can throw that one out the window.
Yeah, right. Well, on top of that, I mean, I hate to be the guy that says it, but, like, isn't that still what's going on?
What?
Isn't that what's still going on? I basically heard that the media news is controlled. And that propaganda is being pushed. Isn't that, to a degree, still what's going on?
I don't know, man. It's hard to say that the media is being controlled per se. I would say more that each media outlet and network has their own agenda, and they are far more likely to just push that agenda. In other words, like, Fox News is clearly right, to the right.
Right. But
you know what I mean? Like, CNN is clearly like a left media outlet. So, like, obviously, whenever something is happening, like, and that's, I mean, it's a slippery slope that we could get into and talk for a very long time about, but, like, there's people saying that like coronavirus is getting all of this media attention right now because it's an election year and it's tanking the economy, which makes Trump look bad.
Yeah.
And from a Democratic standpoint, that's good.
Right. But the thing is both Fox News and CNN are talking about it just from different perspectives, depending on who their audience are. So they're still talking about the same thing, but Fox is saying, hey, the economy is tanking, but don't worry about it because your boy is just tanking on him because of Corona.
Right.
And then CNN saying, no, he's a fucking idiot and it's tanking because he's a shitty president.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
yeah, no, it's absolutely true.
But the point of the economy is tanking is still the main point.
Correct.
That they want to get across to the masses.
Right. And that's the thing is like the economy's tanking because of Corona, but both like those websites are saying even though the Corona's causing it, Trump sucks or Trump's great.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it is what it is. But that's my point. I don't think they're being controlled. I think they have an agenda. And I think they're just pushing, they're biased towards their agenda. They're reporting the news, but they're reporting it with bias.
Well, I know for certainty that I could talk about this one. I mentioned it in another episode. I think it was the Pizzagate one or maybe the Epstein one. But in 2015, there was a propaganda bill signed into law by executive order by Obama. You can find it up. You can find this executive order. But basically, it is to legalize, again, American propaganda in the news.
Huh?
Hey, man, hit the home button all you want. But I know what I'm talking about.
I know. I believe you. I
know what I'm talking about.
100%.
It's a real thing. And, you know, when you bring that up, people look at you and you're just like, they just immediately label you as a right-wing retard. But, like, you can find it.
I believe the term, right wing, yeah.
Yeah. And
left wing is a libtard. Yes.
Right. But like, I mean, you could pull it up and find the executive order and show it to people, and then they'll find some way to explain it to not be what it really is, and it's just so irritating that we've gotten to this point on both sides. But anyway, I digress at this point.
That's okay. Let's talk about the Panama Papers.
Oh God, the Panama Papers, the thing that should have brought down the elite. Yeah. But just didn't. It was released and everyone ignored it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the Panama Papers are 11.5 million leaked documents that detail financial and attorney-client information for more than 214,488 offshore entities. The documents, some dating back to the 70s, were created by and taken from Panamanian law firm and corporate service provider Mossack Fonseca. These documents contain personal financial information about wealthy individuals and public officials that had previously been kept private. While offshore business entities are legal, reporters found that some of the Mossack Fonseca shell corporations were used for illegal purposes, including fraud, tax evasion, and evading international sanctions.
Yeah, that was a big deal. When did that happen? 2008?
Panama Papers happened.
I think it was sometime around that. Yeah. I remember getting really excited when they dropped. Like, really excited when they dropped.
Mossack Data Security. Mossack Fonseca notified its clients on April 1st, 2016 that it had sustained an email hack.
Oh, that was a lot sooner than I remember. God, time flies when you're in the world of crazy.
That's the only date that I could see while I was quickly perusing.
That's fair. No, I'll believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was, I just remember.
Oh, yeah,
that
here we go.
Out.
After more than a year of analysis, the first news stories were published on April 3rd, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember when these got exposed and dropped online and people were picking through the Panama Papers and, connecting all the big bads together and really getting all their ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And then I forget, somebody said something was supposed to happen, and then it just never happened, and then it just got swept under the rug, and now it's basically memory hold at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
The way
Gotta
it
love
is, man.
Gotta love
What
it.
happens when there's no attention span, you know?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it wouldn't surprise me if Epstein was memory hold in 2 years.
Oh,
No
yeah,
joke.
I know. No one's going to be talking about Epstein in a couple years.
No one's talking about him now.
I know.
And it happened, what?
Less than a year ago.
Yeah. I want to say it happened in November, even. Like, it's
Something like that. I don't
10
even
months.
remember. We did the friggin' show on it. I can't even remember when it was.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever been to Buffalo, New York?
I believe I've driven through it.
Okay. I know you're not a big sports guy.
Yeah.
But there is the football team in Buffalo is called the Bills Mafia, or the Buffalo Bills, and their fans are the Bills Mafia.
Bills Mafia.
Bills Mafia.
Okay.
And what the Bills Mafia is known for is they jump off of cars, RVs, campers, trucks, whatever they can get their hands
Sure.
on, and put themselves through tables like it is the WWE. That's what the Bills Mafia is known for. Drinking heavily
I love them.
and doing that.
God,
And
it just sounds like a bunch of fucking me's.
I found the reason why.
The reason?
Yes, I found
Okay.
the reason why that Buffalo is the place where this is happening. Because a big atom waste site reported found near Buffalo.
Wait. Okay.
Yes. I have there's an original, and all of these sites that I'm going to for this information, we're going to put links. This is going to be a very long description with a lot of links in it. But essentially, the Army and a defense contractor dumped more than 37 million gallons of radioactive caustic waste from World War II atomic bomb projects, such as the Manhattan Project, in shallow wells at Tonawanda, New York, near Buffalo between 1944 and 1946. A New
That's a
York
shitty
State Toxic Waste Task Force reported yesterday. And yesterday was February 1st, 1981.
Okay.
The disposal method was specifically chosen, the panel said, to hide the source of the contamination. The report by the New York State Assembly Task Force on Toxic Substances also offered new data to dispute an earlier Army denial of involvement in dumping at Love Canal in Niagara Falls.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Now, this goes on to say that there have been no reports of health problems around Tonawanda directly linked to waste. But it's 40 years later, and grown-ass adults are putting themselves through tables while tailgating at football games. I'm linking it. I'm calling it.
I mean, you
takes.
can, but I mean, JR, coming from a guy who used to drink alcohol with me.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
don't
You
think
put yourself through a table or two.
Yeah, I don't think there was any toxic waste around us when we were partying, and I definitely like to break furniture when I drink. So it just is what it is, man.
But you're not from Buffalo.
You're right. I'm not.
And that's why you're just a fun person.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
the people of Buffalo, the Bills Mafia, which, by the way, if we ever make it big, the Bills Mafia will not be our fans. Because hot takes,
guys.
The Bills Mafia are radioactive waste babies.
Hot takes. I don't agree with that. And if you guys want to do some flips off of RVs through some tables, hit me up. I'll come.
Go
you feel me.
Broncos. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. I don't have a sports team that I follow the New Hampshire the Pigskins.
The New Hampshire
Throwers.
Wildcats.
Yeah, Wildcats. Are they a baseball team? I don't even know.
Wildcats? No.
No.
Might be a hockey team. I don't remember. All right, let's talk about the flying crowbar. which sounds kind of like a wrestler from like the 1970s.
Yeah. A flying crowbar. It definitely sounds like a wrestling move for
Right?
sure.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's the flying crowbar.
He just dropped the flying crowbar. Oh my God! What?
Like, we're joking, but the flying crowbar was actually an insane doomsday weapon that America almost built.
No.
Yes. Let
Okay.
me learn
I'm
you
into
on
it.
it. Let me learn you on it. Let's see here. Also known as Project Pluto, was at its core a cruise missile,
A cruise missile.
but not just a cruise missile. It was a cruise missile designed around a nuclear ramjet engine, and the acronym for it should give another big clue about the pants-filling nature of it. SLAM, for supersonic low-altitude missile, which means that this giant nuclear-powered beast would be screaming around at treetop level, moving faster than the speed of sound.
No way.
Yes. I believe, let me see here. Uh, bu- 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 Yeah. The nuclear ramjet engine was the key to this whole project. There's no moving parts in the engine. Once the missile was launched with a conventional rocket booster, the air velocity going into the ramjet intake would be fast enough to let the engine function. An essentially unshielded nuclear reactor would heat the air as it entered, where it would expand and be expelled out of the engine's nozzle, providing both lots of thrust and plenty of radioactive material. Literally a flying Chernobyl.
That sounds terrible.
Yes.
Yeah. No. No one needs a nuclear missile faster than the speed of sound.
I
Coming to
believe
fuck your day up.
I can't find where I read it, but I'm almost positive it said 3 times faster. Yeah.
3 times faster than.
It's
No
just
way,
a
man. What is
nuclear
it, teleporting?
ramjet engine.
Yeah, dude. Jesus Christ, dude.
Well, because they break the sound
No.
barrier. Like, you can break the
Right.
sound barrier. I think it's like up to 5 times or something like that we've broken the sound
Yeah.
barrier. Right? So, like, it's times 5 or whatever. I don't know how it's actually calculated, but we've broken the sound barrier, I think, like 5 times now. And this one did 3.
It's crazy.
So that's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, this thing almost got built. It was designed by scientists during the Cold War. Like, that was their job. They were like, build us a giant death machine. And these scientists were like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that way Russia doesn't fuck with them,
I'm
man.
pretty sure that these scientists were also Nazis or former Nazis.
Oh, almost for sure.
Operation Paperclip. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Do. All right. And the last one I want to talk about is Operation Sea Spray.
Sea spray?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Operation Sea Spray was a U.S. Navy secret experiment in which Serratia marquescens and Bacillus globigii, I don't even know. They're bacteria, 2 types of bacteria.
Okay.
They were sprayed over the San Francisco Bay Area in California in the 50s. From September 20th to the 27th, 1950, the U.S. Navy released the pathogens offshore of San Francisco. Based on the results from monitoring equipment at 43 locations around the city, the Army determined that San Francisco had received enough of the dose for nearly all of the city's 800,000 residents to inhale millions of particles each day during the week of spraying. So they tested bacterial infections on their own people, the United States government and armed forces, dosed 800,000 people in a city, a very populated city,
Yeah.
with an illness. So this is in September. October 1950, 11 residents check into Stanford Hospital for very rare, serious urinary tract infections. Although 10 residents recovered, one patient, Edward Nevin, died 3 weeks later. None of the other hospitals in the city reported similar spikes in cases, and all 11 victims had urinary tract infections following medical procedures, suggesting that the source of their infections lay inside the hospital. Cases of pneumonia in San Francisco also increased, though causal relation has not been conclusively established. The bacterium was also combined with phenol and an anthrax stimulant and sprayed across Dorset by U.S. and U.K. military scientists as part of the DICE trials, which ran from 71 to 75. Governments do stupid shit, man.
Yeah, dude.
By the way, those urinary tract infections were so unusual that Stanford doctors actually wrote it up in a medical journal.
No shit.
Yep.
Terrible. Imagine dying for something that stupid.
That person was killed by our armed forces. Edward J. Nevin was killed by the United States Navy.
Yeah. Fucked up, man.
That's what this is saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's what this is saying.
Yeah. And if that's true, that's fucked up. Well, it should never happen.
Everybody calm down. This is not one of JR's hot takes.
Not my hot take.
Not my hot take. Okay. Last one. So that's all for those declassified government secrets. So now I'm going to throw some pasta against the wall because we have talked about AI. We talked about did I talk about it with you or did I talk about it with Billy? I can't even remember how afraid of deep fakes I am.
I think we touched on it briefly in our AI episode. Yeah.
I am terrified of deep fakes.
Yeah, they're
terrified.
Yeah, I mean they can really hurt or really help someone. They can really hurt someone innocent and they can really help someone guilty.
Yeah.
There's no good thing about deepfake.
Right. So for anyone who doesn't know what a deepfake is, essentially a deepfake is the technology that is used to impose someone else's face on someone else's body. So in other words, if you have someone who can do a really good voice impression of someone, commonly like Donald Trump, there is technology out there now that can superimpose during an actual video, like an Instagram video or whatever you want to do, YouTube video, whatever. They can put Donald Trump's face on that person's body, like seamlessly, like it's Donald Trump himself that you're looking at, as long as they got the hair right. And that person can say whatever they want. And it looks like Donald Trump is saying it.
Yeah.
That terrifies me for many, many reasons. But it's only a matter of time until this technology is used for blackmail.
Yep.
If it's not already being used for blackmail.
There was, I don't know if you know this, it got banned, I want to say last year or maybe the year before, but there used to be an entire subreddit of pornography.
Deepfakes?
Of celebrities that obviously didn't make, porn.
Right.
But
just
they would deepfake
faces.
Celebrities. And that in itself is very damaging because, I mean, just
check
the
out
average Schmo comes across it. Mm-hmm.
Just throw it
and
out
if they
there.
don't know what a deepfake is, they go, "Oh, holy shit! I didn't know that exists."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where deepfakes are real, obviously. Like where you might be asking yourself, or you might not, because I don't even know if anyone's listening. But you might be asking yourself, where's the conspiracy pasta in all of this? The conspiracy pasta starts with the fact that literally anyone can be taken advantage by this technology, and B, there is a website out there called thispersondoesnotexist.com. That website is not a deepfake website. What that website is there is now AI that exists that can generate random photos of people. Those people don't actually exist. Like when you go to this website, thispersondoesnotexist.com, the pictures of people that you see are not real people. They don't exist. It's actual AI creating people. It's the freakiest thing.
Yeah.
Like when you come to the realization that like who you're looking at, because it looks like a real friggin' person.
Yeah. It's
And
it's a
unfortunately,
database of
I don't
faces.
possess the technology. I wish I could just like, because this is a YouTube channel, right? I could just throw it up on the screen here and scroll through it and blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to pretend like I do have that technology, and I will do a quick little scroll through of that website at some point or another, and then I will just superimpose it over us as I'm talking right now.
Way to take all the magic out of it.
Break that fourth wall, baby.
Also, another thing too with thispersondoesnotexist.com is it's not perfect,
No.
which is
Yeah.
something I think is very strange and very cool at the same time. I find that if it tries to do something like the eye too close to the edge of the picture, it gets goofed up and it'll be like the best way to describe it is a meat swirl. It's a swirl of human
flesh
meat.
blob.
Yes. And sometimes the hair doesn't get quite right, so there'll be like a weird hair colored meat lump. And it's disturbing because it's very good at what it does. These faces are very convincing.
It's
You look
real,
at
like
it-
it's literally, if you're watching this on YouTube, it is as realistic as you watching us right now.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the only way I can describe it.
Extremely realistic. And yeah, on top of it, if you ever go on the website, just keep refreshing. You'll find one. You'll know what I'm talking about. Look at the size of the picture.
You'll know it when you
It
see
just
it.
doesn't know what to. Yeah, it just doesn't know what to do. It's
All right,
pretty cool.
Chris had a couple that he wanted to talk about as well, since I've been driving this whole thing. So, Chris, take away the last two we have here.
Yes. So since we're talking about AI, deep fakes, and learning machines, I wanted to jump into Quake. It's a copy pasta that I found online. It's clearly off of the X board on 4chan, which is the paranormal board.
Okay.
JR, have you ever played Quake 3?
Quake, the video game.
Yeah, Quake 3 Arena.
I've never played any Quakes.
No?
Nope.
It's an older game. I believe it was out when we were in 6th or 7th grade.
Okay.
I've
I've heard of it. I've just never played it.
Yeah, me and my friends, we used to put it on the school computers, on the DL, on the
6th
network,
or 7th
and we would
grade,
play
I
it.
think I was playing Pokemon Snap.
That sounds about right.
Right?
Yeah, that's about the
N64
same
was
time
about,
frame.
right?
Yeah,
Maybe PlayStation.
Yeah, no, that's about right because they yeah, no, that lines
So
up.
that's where I was at. I was at Mario Kart and Pokemon Snap.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Quake 3 is an arena shooter game, multiplayer, usually played online. And it's just think of any online shooter game. You shoot for points. Most points wins.
Like GoldenEye?
However,
GoldenEye, but
Yeah.
online?
yeah, exactly. A little bit faster pace, but yeah, you get the gist. But if you did not have people to play with, you can make bots, like in Perfect Dark. I don't know if you ever played that one.
No, I haven't played Perfect Dark, but
No,
also
I thought maybe I got one for you, but
no.
But you can make bots basically
I
that
wasn't
could
into the
go
first-person
in.
shooters that much until
No.
I got older.
So when you made bots in Quake 3, the coolest thing about this game was the bots would learn how you play. They would know, he usually goes for the rocket launcher first, so I need to either avoid the rocket launcher or if I can find a gun that's closer than the rocket launcher to get to him before he gets to it, I got him. It learns how you play. That's one of the coolest things about Quake Online.
So it's an active learning
So-
AI.
Yes. So it keeps challenging you as you play.
Mhm.
So you don't just keep I guess goofing on the AI.
Right,
'cause the
you
AI is
can't
gonna learn
just
your tricks.
copy paste And like Borderlands, like you find the glitches that make farming really easy.
Exactly. You know that this guy, basically after he does a 3-swing combo, he winds up and you got a free headshot. You know what I mean? It's not something like that.
Right.
They learn. So that's what this is based off of. So here is the conspiracy pasta. It says Quake 3 bots were designed based off an artificial neural network. They would effectively think to figure out the best ways of doing things. They would see which tactics worked and which didn't, reusing the ones that worked and discarding the ones that didn't. The longer they played, the more they would learn about you, figuring out your patterns, and this would apply towards the other bots as well. When I found this out, I set up a Quake 3 arena server on my pirating server just to have 16 bots face each other over and over to see how good they would get.
So he never actually played. It was just 16 bots playing each other.
Right.
Learning from each other.
Right.
Creepy.
So then he says, I set up the server 4 years ago. It's been running the entire time. I forgot about it until this thread. I'm going to go check on them. Comes back and says, oh my God, IP, or no, somebody replies, says, oh my God, IP, I feel like losing. So they were going to jump on and fight the bots. Irrelevant though. So he writes back and he says, all right, one sec. I just checked on them, but for some reason all the bots are standing still. I'm going to try changing the map. It was cycling through maps automatically, but I guess it got stuck or something. He says, somebody replies, says, could make sense. I'm not fully buying into this. But what if you said is true? The only winning move, logically, for them is to not play.
Right.
And then it says, they learned that the only winning move is to not play. Your precious AI has gone on strike. What now, Puppet Master? So it says, somebody replies, maybe they've learned that the best technique to survive is to make peace and to stand there with it for an eternity, waiting for a purpose or salvation. Perhaps they think that a 0-0 kill-death ratio is better than that statistically of an inevitable of a 1-1 in all other situations.
Right.
So the original poster comes back and he says, they know when to fight and to run, such as low health weapons that can't win the situation for them. I just changed the map and they keep standing still. I have a program that tracks player movements on the server and they're literally just standing there. I'm going to download Quake 3 Arena and see if they turn back on when I get on the server. Give me a few minutes. So then the ultimate survival strategy developer over 4 years, nobody dies if nobody kills. They've achieved something we couldn't, world peace.
It's true.
Yeah. And if they had achieved at the point where no tactics were usable against any opponent, they just might. And somebody replies, I bet they all kill you the second you enter because you threaten their coexistence. So it says, another person says, I'm 100% sure that if a human joined, they would all, and then they would say even the teammates would kill the human just because they disturbed the peace. And
okay,
then,
so what happened?
So they go on to say, I actually really hope that the bots kill the dude entering the server. They go back to being at peace. That would be proof that they hit a point where they stopped killing each other. And then, hey, server guy, place a new bot. Let's see what happens to it. Disturb the peace, ruin the balance, force them into an endless war. I don't know how to add new bots. I think I'd have to delete an AI coexisting bot. On that note, I should check those after I'm done with that. Starting up Quake 3 now. Rule report in a minute if they kill me. He comes back a couple minutes later, says, okay, that was pretty fucking weird. I joined the server. The bots just stood there. But the fucked up thing is they would rotate to look at me. I walked around a bit and they all just kept looking at me. So I grabbed a railgun and fragged one of them. They all ran for the nearest weapon, took me down, and the server crashed. Well, I don't know what to say about this. And then
Eliminate the threat.
basically, yeah. So he reloaded it back up, and the bot's memories basically remembered him, and they kept coming back for him.
So every time he came into the server, they would kill him.
Right.
But if he wasn't in the server, they were just still standing still.
They would just stand there. They'd stand still. So
did he plant another AI? Did he delete one of the AIs and plant another one?
So even better, because I believe he went to go delete one of the AIs. So he comes back in. He says, "Oh God, I just checked the AI logs. Each bot has a separate one. They're each 512 megabytes. Now, Quake 3 is an old game.
Yeah, that's a lot.
512
That's a lot for an old game.
Back then was a lot of memory. So I also think that was probably the cap of what was allowed.
Yeah.
For their memory. So they had a memory cap.
So because each of them are all the same, probably.
Right. So it just says, I want to believe, show me proof. So he uploads a picture of his folder in Windows, and those are the data files showing how much, basically, how big the files are.
Right.
So he says, sorry, my machine is acting slow as fuck right now. Took me forever to get to the screen. And then the very last post says, they're not those kinds of logs. They're tactical logs based on what has worked and what hasn't worked for battle. For all intents and purposes, they're memories. Man, it's 512 megabytes per bot, 16 bots, 8 gigs of information. The semi-sentient fuckers should be glad that I haven't decided to delete them for taking up space on my hard drive. And that's the end. But I don't know, man. I thought that was extremely interesting, just to know that a video game from, I want to say, God, what was that? 1999, 2000.
That fully drives home the Skynet.
Right.
That
because
fully
again,
drives home that entire AI theory of Skynet and all the theories of AI. The only way AI protects humans is to kill all humans, because humans in their nature are violent, and the only way to bring peace amongst them are to have them not exist.
Exactly.
That's essentially like almost every sci-fi robot conspiracy, blah blah blah. But that is proof of that hypothesis, right? Like if given the chance, if it's and the interesting thing for me would be if there was an experiment done with like one random constantly regenerated AI.
Right.
So it's not the same person coming in. It's a regenerated AI, meaning that it's a new identity every time, randomly created, introduced with 15 other bots that are all the same.
Yeah, have the same memory.
Have the same memory. But they're all put in at the same time, right? But 15 of them are constant, one of them is not. After a significant amount of time, do the other bots only kill that one bot? Or is the chaos that one bot brings enough to keep all of the bots in constant chaos?
Right. Or if there's some sort of friendly fire that gets one of the bots and then that fucks up their programming to think, okay, well, I took damage from this bot, so now he's an enemy, thus now putting two of them against each other.
You put one bot in and that bot's the only aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different aggressor every time.
Right.
Do these bots realize then this bot's not attacking me? These other 14 bots aren't attacking me, but this one bot is. And so I never have to attack these other 14 bots. I just have to protect myself from the one random bot that comes in, if that's the case. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, is it that way,
Or
or does every random bot join, see the other robots at peace, and say, "I'm good with that"?
yeah,
You know what I
right,
mean?
exactly.
Like, what I would love to
Does it
see that
simulate?
experiment, because then it would really confirm or deny the elimination of the human species
Right,
theory
right.
by AI. Like, that's either going to drive it home or go, no, see, it doesn't matter if it's human or not. This variable is what makes it or breaks it. It's the constant chaos. Is it because it's constant chaos, or does it not matter because the AI understands the AI?
Yeah.
If that even made
No,
sense.
it does. It makes total sense. I would also like to see something like that, like a controlled experiment,
Yeah.
just to see, is it chaos? Does it load in and immediately go, hold on, there's no fighting, so what do I fight for?
Right. Like, I know I'm programmed
Yeah,
to fight, but these guys aren't fighting, so why would I fight?
yeah. And these guys have been around longer. Like, does it know that they've been around or
Yeah.
what?
I'd be
So yeah,
very interested to see that being an actual experiment taking place.
right.
But let's
So
go to the last one.
so yeah, that one was just again that was just copy pasta. Who knows if it's true or not? This one now transitions into just gaming in general.
Okay.
It's silly, so bear with me. Again, copy pasta, so just nothing's real, alleged. So it says, let me get this straight. Zoe Quinn and other famous connected to the Silver String Media PR group. Silver String has a connection to DIGRA, aka the Digital Games Research Association. The DIGRA is receiving funding from DARPA and for the purposes of game simulating how to socially engineer people. Gamergate happened,
Wait, what?
and there's okay. So DARPA, right?
Okay. So
So
go back. So you lost me at creating people?
no. Okay, so um, basically, what this is saying is there is a PR group
Yep.
that is in bed with the Digital Games Research Association,
Okay.
who is in bed with DARPA. Now, for anyone not knowing, because
I mean, I know what
acronym.
DARPA is, but some of the people listening probably don't. So
Right. So they're basically I believe it's a defense. It's a branch of military for advanced research project agencies.
okay.
A military agency.
Gotcha.
So that's what DARPA is.
Huh?
So I hate you so much for that. Anyway,
It's my favorite button ever.
oh, I know, because you can tell it rustles my jimmies immediately.
Yep.
So basically, that first line is saying there's a PR group in bed with a digital games research group in bed with the military,
Okay.
which should not happen.
Right.
And it says for the purpose of games simulating how to socially engineer people.
Socially engineer people.
Yeah.
So that means you're shaping
Trying
people's personalities
via
video game.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
So,
that sentence lost me, but now I'm on track. Got you.
okay. So do you remember Gamergate by any chance?
No.
No.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Gamergate was do you remember when Overwatch was in pre-development?
Yes.
Tracer had the butt pose. Do you
But
know what I'm talking about at all?
Tracer is a
Tracer,
character
she's-
in Overwatch.
Yeah.
That's the one
So
that
when
can
you
like
would-
go back in time.
Yep. So when you
Slightly.
would win a game, all your characters at the end screen
Do a
would
pose.
basically do a pose. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of Tracer's was she would look over her shoulder with her gun and like flexing her butt kind of thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah. Nice little
you know,
booty
some,
shot.
some booty going on, right?
Yeah.
Well, women didn't like that, right? It sexualizes women, whatever, whatever. I could go on all day about how this is
It was
whatever.
objectifying. That's
Yeah,
it's an
yeah,
objectifying pose um,
right, right. Which I don't
from a
disagree with,
cartoon.
right? But again, whatever. It is
Sure.
what it is. Gamergate happened. So it says Gamergate happens, and there's censorship everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Censorship to a degree you wouldn't expect for something like this. When GameSpot was found to be in bed with makers of Kane and Lynch, do you remember that game?
Kane and Lynch.
It was a shitty co-op Xbox 360 game. It did really bad.
What was the premise? Was it like two guys that went around killing people?
Something like that. One of them was bald with sunglasses and a beard, and the other one just had like long, stringy hair.
Yeah, I remember it. I do.
Yeah,
I remember it.
it did really, really bad. So basically, GameSpot, the company, was found to be in beds with the makers of Kane and Lynch, and it was talked about everywhere with no repercussions. So it says, why would these events, who largely only affect the indie scene, receive such harsh censorship?
Right.
Fast forward a few weeks, and there was a very concerted effort to discredit gamers. On the very same day, articles across multiples of websites came out saying the same thing. Quote, gamers are dead. It was a very obvious PR stunt orchestrated by someone meaning to destroy our credibility by lumping us all in with the idiots who post hateful things. This, by large, is ineffectual, and basically, we still pursued the issue.
Right.
So then it says, a couple of days after the articles were released, so began the fappening. Are you familiar with what that was?
I only remember the fappening was like a subreddit.
So the fappening was
isn't fapping the English term for masturbation?
Yes.
Like a slang.
You remember when there was the Apple breach?
Yeah, and that website came out with all like the celebrity naked photos that they got from like the cloud.
To the internet, that was known as the fappening. It happened and everyone was masturbating. It's stupid, but the fappening. It's got a good ring.
So, I forget what that website was called, but yes, I remember that.
I believe it was just called thefappening.com or something like that.
Might have been.
Yeah. So again, a couple of days after the articles were released, so began the fappening. So this happened after gamers put down the naysay and bad talk against gamers. They released the fappening happened, I should say.
Okay.
4chan was the site that the leakers used to post all the nudes. It could clearly be traced back to 4chan, and as many articles came out saying that 4chan was the sewer of the internet. Again, we're discredited. We're monsters. The big question remains, who has access to these photos and how did they get them? Right? Because they're just being passed around on this website. They didn't produce any of them.
4chan didn't like create them because
they
this is
didn't
long
crack
before
the cloud.
Right, this is long before like a deep fake even existed. So
yeah.
Someone cracked and hacked the cloud. And then that person distributed and dumped them
4chan.
And then 4chan just started passing them around.
Passing them around and getting everyone's attention on it.
Right.
So then it finishes up saying, what organization would have access to so much information? Edward Snowden has talked about how multiple people working with him for the NSA used to pass around pictures they found of beautiful women. There isn't a database on Earth larger than the one at the NSA.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been monitoring civilians.
Okay.
They have easy access to all of this data, explaining away how pictures not put onto Apple would have been on iCloud. So the NSA has a very convenient excuse as to why pictures that weren't originally on an Apple device were on an iCloud.
Right. Because essentially, so what they're saying is what this Pasta is saying is that the NSA created the fappening
basically, but
because
blamed it
like not
on
every one of those celebrities had an iPhone.
right,
Is essentially what it is. But
right,
the claim was the Apple cloud was hacked, and that's how
yes,
all of these photos or videos or whatever got leaked.
exactly,
But
exactly,
how could something, right? So like how could something on an Android end up in the cloud?
right, exactly,
And how much free
because
time do you have to organize all that data?
right.
Because
Also,
there's a
Apple
lot.
came out and stated that they didn't find a breach in their service. So no one hacked Apple's
Yeah,
services.
but okay, take that one with a grain of salt though, because if Apple comes out and says, "Oh shit, yeah, we were hacked," Apple stock takes a huge plunge.
Yeah, happened to Sony though, and they're fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
Not to say that it couldn't just
But
be Apple trying to save face.
Apple is one of those companies where like security is a big deal. You know what I mean? Like remember like Apple computers at one point Apple computers were like we're better than Windows computers because Windows computers were like all the rage, right? It went from Apple is here, like the first computers, and you can get
Hmm.
your Macintosh and have it at home and surf the internet and blah blah blah. And then the Windows computers were like, let's make this super easy, and they started getting super easy and cheap. And then Apple came out and went, well, that's all well and good, but look at how many viruses they get, and we don't get viruses. And that was a
Right.
huge thing that Apple like built their empire or rebuilt their empire, whatever you want to call it. But they
On security,
that's a cross that they wanted to die on, or a hill they wanted to die on, a cross they wanted to
and
die.
that makes
It's a
sense.
hill they wanted to
And it
die
makes
on.
yeah, and it makes a lot of sense too because of the whole God, what was the other thing that happened not too long ago? The government wanted backdoors into all Apple products, and they said, "Fuck no, hell no,
Yeah.
no way."
You
But
dick.
again, and then at the very
But that's
very
why
end of
there's a
this,
lot of companies now, like because BlackBerry is essentially dead.
yeah,
I
they're gone.
think the government doesn't even use them anymore. Um, and the iPhone is now the new encrypted telephone.
BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So at the very end of this, it says, "My question for you is, why are we being so harshly silenced? What are we close to discovering? And how deep does the rabbit hole actually go?"
I do love a good rabbit hole.
Because, again, to start from the beginning, it's a PR group in bed with a game research association in bed with the military.
Right.
Gamergate happens, censorship on all these games start happening, and then it's discovered that these articles who are writing and reviewing all these games are in bed with the game makers. Right? So they're
Yes.
pushing the games that they want you to play.
Okay.
So when they push that angle of saying, hey, stop writing to us, stop telling us what to play, stop telling us what not to play, we're not interested, they push back and say, gamers are dead, gamers are bad, we don't like gamers. Another PR
Right.
stunt.
Look what they're
that comes
doing.
out.
Look at how awful
Yep.
these people are.
So, again, the gamers come out and they discredit what they're saying by saying, no, we're not bad, and we're trying to expose what you're doing here. Then they take the nuclear option and begin the fappening and just start saying, well, no, look, they're passing these around, so obviously they're all monsters. And that wins the public opinion.
Huh.
So, what were they close to discovering? Well, that these game makers are conditioning our brains.
Interesting.
Potentially. Right?
So
I mean, that's where
the
this
allegation.
is going.
That's essentially that we're being
Right.
conditioned by the game developers at the behest of the United States government or multiple governments.
Right. This thread gets 5 replies and then gets closed.
Interesting.
Usually, when these things get closed, it's because they're either dead or they hit a post limit.
Right.
When they hit a post limit,
I don't think the post limit is 5.
Yeah, the post limit's something like 300. And it definitely wasn't dead because the replies come in succession.
Right.
This thread was closed for a reason. So,
That's interesting.
just a little something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird video game conspiracies like that out there. But that one I thought was interesting.
Throw it at the wall. That
Yeah,
one sticks
throw it
for
at the
me.
wall.
That's interesting.
Right? Yeah, we got some good ones.
You know what is weird is that this show has made me more and more, or I should say less and less skeptical of conspiracies.
Yeah.
Like
A little bit more
the
trusting.
more we do these, the more I'm like, huh, that's actually feasible. No, that's plausible. Like, 'cause,
Makes you less trusting.
yeah, because like, when we first started doing this, it was it was just like, yeah, sure, whatever, okay, blah blah.
Yeah.
And now
I'm the
it's-
skeptic, JR.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, let me put my skeptic hat on here because I don't believe it. And now it's like the more we get into this, I'm like, oh shit, oh
Yeah.
hmm. But
I
then
could
stuff
do
like
two.
what we talked about comes out too, with like the shit the government has actually done, declassified files, like that
Yeah.
exists.
Absolutely.
So
JR, I got two short ones if you want them. And
no, let's save them for next time because we're at like over an hour and 20 minutes.
okay, we can save them for next time.
Yeah.
I will warn you.
I don't want this to turn into a 2-hour podcast.
That's fair.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Mystery Inner History podcast. We hope that you enjoyed our Conspiracy Pasta Part 2 episode, or second
Little
Conspiracy
al
Pasta
dente.
episode. But we will see you next time. And for Chris Berry,
Huh?
I'm JR Supa.
I'm
We will see you next time. Bye.
I hate you so much.
I love you too. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you have any suggestions or topics for us to cover, email us at 4guysmedianetwork@gmail.com. If you're on the go, you can subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Be sure to check out our Patreon page, 4Guys Media Network, for access to exclusive content like minisodes and more. We have a lot of goals to hit, so we can keep improving and continue providing more content ad-free. So all of your donations are greatly appreciated. Make sure you subscribe to the 4Guys Media Network YouTube channel for all of our other projects by clicking the link on the right. And lastly, if you want to watch another episode, just click the link on the left. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.